back to the Second and Short podcast where the entire playbook is open. I'm Josiah.
I'm Cooper.
No, I'm Hayden.
For those of you who like to listen to audio only, the link for the Spotify will be in the description.
It's been a while. A couple weeks off. I was sick. Last week we were in Texas, me and Eli. In fact, should we tell everyone? We got some Christian Ford updates.
Let's hear it.
Christian just completed basic training in the Air Force. We're all proud of him. He's going to be tuning in. I don't know the next time we'll be able to get him on the air, so he's going to be a remote contributor. I think that's his new title. Yes. Round of applause to Christian. We're proud of you. You're doing great stuff. Yes, thank you for your service. Go to Chick-fil-A and get that free entree, Christian. But,
Wear your uniform and get a meal.
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, that's facts. He's active.
Yeah.
And then I think we have to mention the jerseys because we got some unique ones. Let's start off with Josie's, who's definitely more on the unique side. He surprised me when we were doing something for the podcast, JT Sanders. And if you don't know who JT Sanders is...
You will. He's going to be a household name.
Pretty athletic tight end out of Texas that Josie has a weird man crush on. Thought he should have been You thought he should have been in the first round, right? Am I out of pocket for saying that?
I said that he could slip into the first round at 32 if the Chiefs... Yeah, like they weren't set at 32 at the time that I said it, but I was saying that like the Chiefs selected 32, maybe all the receivers they wanted were gone, like maybe Worthy would have been gone hypothetically at that point. Like, why not take an athletic receiving tight end when your tight end right now that's an all-time great is starting to age out a little bit?
Yeah.
Again, who knows how long? He says he wants to play for like 5 more seasons, so who knows? But like, why not get a contingency plan? You had Noah Gray. I don't think Noah Gray's there anymore.
I think he still is, but that's an interesting one because it took so long for him to develop. Where he's a pretty nice tight end now, but I think he's already in his mid to high 20s.
Yeah, because like JT Sanders was on an offense where he's probably at times the 4th or 5th option, and he still looked really good. So like I think if he got a target share like he might in Carolina, which is a little heavier, I think he could look really good.
So, Cooper, it's your turn.
Oh,
we got a Russ.
Yep, future Hall
Steelers,
of Famer.
QB1, future Hall of Famer.
Not if he keeps on playing. He's going to play himself right out of the Hall of Fame.
Oh, he's playing himself into the Hall of Fame. Watch him.
Yeah. He's trying to do the Kurt Warner thing where you have a really strong start to the career with one team, fall off a little bit with the Broncos and the Giants respectively, and then Russ trying to do what Kurt did in Arizona and kind of cap off that Hall of Fame career. Did get back to a Super Bowl. Santonio Holmes and Big Ben end up coming in clutch. Cooper, we were talking about this off air. I said it coming in that what was going to happen is in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, Justin Fields was going to run around, make a couple of splash plays, and then Steeler fans were going to be creaming all over him.
All right.
And that's what's happening.
I was wondering if you were going to say that.
That's what's happening, though. Okay. Are you just a little bit nervous that Russell Wilson jersey is going to be even more worthless than a Kenny Pickett jersey? He might not even be the day one starter if things continue.
He's the starter right now, and he'll be the starter for most of the season.
Well, we'll see. He has to take a couple of reps first. I'm not saying you're wrong, but we've kind of become a jersey podcast. Yeah. Last episode, we got an AB appearance. We got a Heath Miller appearance.
My Patrick Queen was...
Patrick Queen.
Was recently. I don't remember which episode it was.
Russ will play in preseason. Not this week, but I think...
He'll play against the Bills. If the Bills' second game, I think.
He has a high chance of playing in the second game. So
if he's healthy, he needs to get out there. Though. I agree. I'm teasing you, but he's playing for his job right now, and it's not like the Steelers committed a ton of money to him. They have the vet men, so it's not like there's no reason for politics to be at play. I guess is what I'm saying.
But I think this week is too early because, he just started practicing in full today.
Yep, true. All right, so we got a couple of things on the docket for today. So we do want to wrap up our most iconic numbers. So we're going to end up with the 90 through 99 today, which would be pretty exciting. A lot of names, so not to get ahead of ourselves. But before we did that, we wanted to do something a little bit fun, throw a little curveball at you guys because it's second and short. And we wanted to do a little bit of a draft. So I'm sure some of you have seen this before where basically you just take a random spin wheel and it lands on a team, and then you kind of like select a player of that team. So each of us is going to select a player from that team, and then the next spin for the next team, it's going to be a different starting point. So we're not going to snake it. It's going to kind of be like We're going to start at a different area each time. We are going to do a quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, 1 lineman, and then we're going to do, on the defensive side, do DB, edge, linebacker, so like off-ball linebacker, and then interior defensive line. The one thing to note is if we land on the same team twice, we are going to still select the players from that team. So if we land on the Kansas City Chiefs once, we're going to select 3 players. If we land on it again, we're going to have to select 3 different players to be part of our team. So, we ready?
Yep,
Ready?
we're at 5:30 right now.
All right.
Okay, so what's our goal? I would say once we get to 20, I'll start to get a little
Yeah.
frustrated.
Oh,
I
for
think.
sure. We
All
should be able to fly through there.
Who's starting it off? Who's kicking it off?
Hayden's first.
Okay.
So spin landed on the Buffalo Bills.
Mm.
I wonder where Hayden's going to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's the second best quarterback in football without a question. He's an athletic masterpiece, probably in terms of just physical attributes, the greatest we've ever seen. I'm going Josh Allen.
Okay.
This is an interesting one.
yeah.
Josie,
Outside
are you keeping track? Okay.
I have one listed up. This is interesting because outside of that, there's a lot of options that are like,
Solid, but
yeah.
there's not one
No.
that stands apart.
I'm blanking here, but I'm gonna. This is this is a hard one to start with.
Before you answer, I do
Yeah.
want to make one more designation that we talked about before this. We, in this scenario, we are a GM building a franchise. And so, like, an aged player, you might not choose them, even if they are, like, the best option here. Like, I'll just throw this out there. Von Miller's probably not the pick here, just based on his age and where he's at in his career. Even though he might be the second best player on the roster, he's probably not going to be the pick here.
No.
So, sorry. Go ahead, Cooper.
That is okay. I'm thinking I'm gonna go tight end here because I was looking offensive line and I'm not seeing anything really there. But I think I am going to go with Kincaid. I mean, he is such an upside that it would be silly for me to take Knox here. So I'm gonna go with Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah, that's fair. That was going to be my pick. So now
I think there's an
more.
obvious one for you now.
There is. I mean, there's a couple guys on my mind when I'm looking at this. Like, I mean, running back. Obviously, James Cook still has a lot of upside, but he hasn't really shown much of anything yet. The wide receiver room's a lot of unproven. Maybe I go chase Claypool. I mean, there's still another tight end on the roster, Dawson Knox, who's not a slouch. He just got extended. He's not terrible. O-line's questionable. I mean, outside of who's their left tackle? They have a decent left tackle.
Is
on
it
blanket.
Deion
Osiris
Dawkins.
or something?
Deion Dawkins. Thank you.
Osiris Torrance is
Osiris.
Yeah. I mean, DB, they've kind of cleared house a little bit.
All right, there's
Yeah.
2 names. Where are you going?
I'm going to go maybe a little bit outside the box here. And I'm actually... I'm blanking on his name right now. Who's their D tackle that got taken? Ed Oliver. I'm gonna go Ed Oliver here. I think that's a solid pick. He's a guy who was borderline in the running for like a defensive rookie of the year his year because Devin Bush was trash. I mean, that's the reason I remember that year is because I know that but I think that's a solid role player who can fill in on the interior of the defensive line, good run stopper.
I do like that pick. Another pick there could have been Greg Rousseau at D end.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go Matt Milano or James Cook.
I was thinking Milano
I mean,
too, but
I don't want to get all those penalties from Matt Milano. So
The Italian
shout out
stallion.
Christian.
Yeah.
Shout out Christian. All right, are we ready for this next team? Cooper, you were first pick for this one. You've got the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is an interesting one too.
okay. Jags here. Ooh. This is a tough one. But I think I am gonna go. I'm gonna go Josh Allen as my edge.
Okay.
That's a good one.
That was
Well,
one of
Josh
my-
Allen Hines now. Remember, he changes his name.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's
Did
right.
he really?
Joshua Allen Hines,
Yeah.
I think is what
Yeah.
we're supposed Mr. Josie.
Yeah. I don't think I'm gonna get cute. I feel like there's a couple guys on here. Like I could go for you, Lil Khan, for an off-ball linebacker who's been pretty solid in his career, even for the Falcons, and then now for them. I could go DB with like Tyson Campbell, who again has been playing really well. I mean, I'm kind of stuck between the two Clemson boys on offense, between Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne.
Yeah.
Based on what I've seen so far, I'd probably lean Etienne here just because he's a little bit more versatile. I mean, I don't know if you can say proven at this point.
Mm-hmm.
He's obviously had some injury history, but I'm going to go Travis Etienne here.
Yeah, and I'm glad you went Etienne. I'm a huge fan. PPR nightmare on fantasy. Back-to-back years with 1,000 yards rushing, I think, too, something that's not super common. I obviously couldn't go Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah,
However,
that was another
I
thought
do
process.
think it's interesting, though, that you're taking a little bit of a gamble there. How many more quarterbacks better than Trevor Lawrence are you going to get versus how many more running backs better than Etienne are you going to get? I'm fine with it because I didn't want to pick Etienne, so I'm glad he still did get some recognition. I think right now it's either Tyson Campbell or the edge rusher Trevon Walker. Trevon Walker kind of nice.
Going into his
third year, 10 sacks last year. Great against the run. I think he's going to take off, and he has that inside versatility too. Tyson Campbell, I like.
Speedy.
Yeah, really good corner, underrated, probably top 10. I'm going to go Tyson Campbell. Kind of similar to my argument against taking Etienne. There are a lot of good DBs. We're looking at corners, nickels, and safeties. There's a lot of good edge rushers. So I'm going to go Tyson Campbell. I don't love it, but also I'm more than happy with it.
Yeah.
Another shout out for Mitch Morris there at center.
Brandon Sheriff.
Yep.
All right. Next spin is Buffalo Bills. So we're going back to the Bills.
Now things are going to get interesting.
Do we want to do that?
We gotta make the decision now.
I would vote we skip it because
There's a lot of teams left, and we're only
That's
making
fine.
9. We're only making 9 picks. All right, let's spin it again. So forget what I said earlier. We'll edit it out.
No, we won't.
Nah.
Ooh, okay, here we go. I got my answer. Green Bay Packers. I'm going Jordan Love.
Okay.
There's probably
Hey, Naples, screw you.
There's probably some other picks that I could go here, but I think that's my clear pick here. So go back to Hayden. You're up next.
Yeah, so I'm looking. The offensive line, there's a really good one in Elkton Jenkins that I could go here. Josh Jacobs is probably the answer.
That's a good one.
In all honesty.
You have the Joshes in the backfield. Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, I'm scared of taking a running back, but we're going to do it here. We're going to go Josh Jacobs. So I feel Josh Jacobs has insane potential if he can stay healthy, if he's at the top of his game. He's been pretty consistent, and then also with the exception of last year and a couple years prior, but he has a rushing champ on his resume. Not many running backs have that. Josh Jacobs is the pick.
Yeah, and he's developed a lot as a rusher too, because if you remember at Alabama, he was mostly a receiving back. He's receiving and third down back. So like he's developed a lot.
Him
as
and
a
Damian
rusher.
Harris split the load.
Cooper.
All right, I had the third pick here. I thought he was going to get picked way before me, but I'm going Jair Alexander.
That's a good pick.
That's my DB here.
Well, I couldn't go
Like it.
DB anyway.
Yeah.
I had Tyson Campbell.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's a good pick. I like Jair Alexander. I think he's. I think we talked about this on a episode not too long ago. He's in my top 5 corners. Like I think he's still locked down. All right, going back to Hayden for this pick here. The team is going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
All right, so just going through real quick, we got Mike Evans as a potential one here. We got Tristan Wirfs. We got Vita Vea. We got Levante David. There's a lot of options here, but he just got paid. He's one of the best tackles in the league, if not the best tackle in the league. And yes, I know Trent Williams exists, but we're going to go Tristan Wirfs, the former wrestler.
In my mind, that was the only player you were going to select there. Like
Going back to my previous argument, how many better offensive linemen are we going to be able to pick? And like you said, even so, him versus Trent Williams, which I think is probably the top 2 tackles.
Yeah.
Who are you going to want 5 years down the road? Because you wanted this to be a GM exercise. Trent Williams needs to get paid. How many more years does he have at the top? Tristan Wirfs already paid, and you know he's just entering his prime.
Yeah, solid. My brother.
All right, I am going to go. So I'm going defense here. I'm between Vita Vea and Levante David. And I think I'm going to go with Vita Vea here. just because I feel there's
He's still
going to
young.
be.
I mean, he's under 30 still.
I think he is, but he
He
still
is
has
very-
some game. And
Just a big.
I like the big ugly getting some love
Yeah,
here for the Bucks.
Just a big dude stopping the run. Love it.
Yeah.
And Josie, you were right. He's 29.
Yeah.
So I kind of go through and I'm like, all right, what teams like do we talk about a lot? The AFC North gets talked about a lot on this podcast and on TikTok. Another team that gets talked about a ton, which is funny to me, is the Bucks. We're a Bucks podcast. Like if we
Love him.
were to find a percentage of how much we talk about each team, the Bucks would be towards the top of that list. So
Yeah. Well, we talked so much last year before the season even started about how we thought that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were going to win that division, and then they ended up doing it.
we're Baker believers, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I think this is a pretty easy pick for me. I still have my DB available. I'm taking Antoine Winfield Jr. Like, I don't think that there's much
There you go.
thought
That's
process
gonna
that goes
work.
into that. Like, you guys already selected your DBs, or else I think you might have also
Definitely.
Yeah.
had that thought process already.
Best safety
so,
in the league last year.
I think it's a pretty easy pick there. So, all right, Cooper, you're going to be selecting. Ooh, San Francisco 49ers.
I have a lot to choose here from.
You have any position possible.
Any position
And
possible.
just throwing this out there, Brandon Aiyuk is still considered a Niner in this,
Correct.
so you could select him if you
Well,
wanted
let me
to.
check Twitter for an update
Yeah,
just
right,
to make
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
I'm not gonna overthink this. I still have linebacker wide open. I could go Fred Warner there. Not gonna do it. O line. I could go Trent Williams. One of the best tackles.
George
in the
Kittle,
league.
Debo Samuel,
Exactly. I
Dre
could go-
Greenlaw, Javon Hargrave.
I'm not gonna overthink this. I'm gonna go McCaffrey.
Okay. Yeah, that's valid. CMC.
What about Purdy?
I already got my quarterback. I got Jordan
Me
Love. I'm
too.
good.
There's not a wrong answer.
There's not, but I think that I don't know that I'm going to get a better guy at his position than where I'm selecting right now, and I'm going to go with Nick Bosa.
Yes.
Off the edge.
So Nick Bosa, probably the obvious answer. Him and McCaffrey, I think, are 1A and 1B, whichever you prefer. I actually,
Hargrave.
listen, I love Hargrave. He honestly could be the pick here. I'm not going to go tight end. George Kittle, I think, is reaching the end. I'm not an Aiyuk guy. Debo, not the best pure wide receiver. So that leaves Hargrave. I'm not going to go after Drake Jackson or Leonard Floyd for the other edge. I'm going to go linebacker. And that's why I wanted you to go Nick Bosa. How many linebackers are better than Fred Warner? Maybe Roquan Smith.
I was wondering if you're going to say Drake Greenlaw for a second there, because even if I would have gone with Fred Warner, you could have gone with Drake Greenlaw.
No, and
Like,
that would have
that's
been an
valid.
argument. I love Dre Greenlaw.
Yeah.
Fred Warner, though, it's him and Roquan Smith, whichever one you prefer. Who knows? Maybe I get lucky and get TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, Parsons, or something.
I almost just wrote Fred Warner into mine.
He's mine. I'll be possessive over him.
And that. All right. My first pick for this one. Gonna spin and land on.
4 positions left.
Well, I'm glad I have the first pick for this one. New England Patriots. Really
Yikes.
glad I have the first pick for this
Golly.
one.
Yikes.
Man,
That's one
I
of
mean,
the
I
worst
have-
you can get.
I have to go
Yeah,
on
I
the
think they're
defensive.
the worst roster.
I have to go on the defensive side of the ball, right? But like at the same time, the only defensive position I have left is off-ball linebacker.
They have Jawan Bentley still?
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean,
Yeah, Jawan Bentley and Jelani Tabe, who just signed an extension. That's what you're looking at.
O-line, Cole Strange. I don't think I can go with a guard there for the
On
only
Wenyu,
O-line pick.
the
Mike
guard slash
Onwenu.
tackle. I mean, because you're right. After that, you're looking at like Chukwuemeka 4, David Andrews, who good center but old.
Kendrick Bourne. My guy, Kendrick Bourne. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to probably... It's not my favorite pick here, but it's probably, in my mind, a semi-young guy with some upside still. Maybe Hunter Henry here is my pick at tight end. I don't know that I'm going to get much of a better option.
Did you still have DB open?
No.
No, I was gonna say because I know
Well,
I'm
my
a
first-
Gonzalez guy. You got Peppers,
Oh,
Duggar. You got some
My-
good safeties.
My first thought was to take Matt Judon, but I already got an edge, so he doesn't count.
Do you have
for
a D
that, but,
tackle?
I do. I took Ed Oliver.
I was gonna say Christian Barrymore, but you're right. After that,
I'm gonna go with Hunter Henry. I think that's a safe pick. It's not the best, but also at the same time, like sometimes that's the best option there. So
you gotta eat dirt sometimes, and we're eating it.
Hating your turn.
Yeah, so I wanted Hunter Henry just because, like, I don't know, you have Josh Allen throwing the football, and he's an above-average tight end, so that can work. I still have my wide receiver open, not doing that. Tight end, Austin Hooper, sadly enough. I'm not going him, but that's, like, not an awful option. Yeah. So that leaves D tackle, her edge rusher. So edge could go Matthew Judon. However, there are so many edge rushers. I'm going to bet I can get better than him. I love the secondary. The secondary is probably the only position group that I like of the Patriots. Yeah. But Christian Barrymore is the clear answer here.
Yeah. Cooper?
I have to go O-line here because I'm a gambling man, and I have a feeling I'm going to get a quarterback and a good...
You don't want Drake May?
I don't want Drake May, no. I want to go Chooks here. And I can't go Cole Strange. It's just, I'm going to go Chooks here. I'm going to go Chooks. Just because I know him, and I like Chooks.
Interesting.
Chooks Okorafor. All right, back to Hayden for the first pick here. And that is going to be Oakland Raiders.
All right,
you have both tight end and wide receiver open.
Yeah, so this is another weak roster, and I'm going to double check, but it's going to be Devontae Adams. I think the guy is still a top 5 wide receiver. I have tight end. I do love me some Brock Bowers. I do love me some Michael Mayer. And then edge. Ooh, Max
I was wondering I was hoping that you were going to stick to your guns and not go with him, but...
See, as bad of a roster this is like a perfect team for me with wide receiver, tight end, and edge. Tight end's probably the best value here with Brock Bowers.
Yeah, that's valid.
Max Crosby, going to be hard to get a better edge than that, but also it's going to be hard to get a better wide receiver than Tay. You know what? I'm going to go Max Crosby strictly because I have Josh Allen at quarterback. I'm going to have faith that if I have a wide receiver in the top 20 or top 30, we're going to be able to get it done with Josh Jacobs in the backfield.
Yeah, that's valid.
Easy pick for me here. I was hoping he went with Max Crosby.
Yeah.
I'm going Devontae.
Yeah. Josie doesn't have tight end, so now Josie has probably the least obvious. What are your available positions?
Wide receiver, O-line, off-ball linebacker. So, like, thinking about wide receiver, like, I think I could get better than Jacoby Myers, personally.
Yeah.
I think off-ball linebacker, Divine Diablo's good. Rob Spillane is good. But, like, thinking here, like, I'm going to go with the left tackle. Why am I blanking on his name
Colton Miller.
Colton Miller. Very, very solid left tackle. I would say probably one of the more underrated tackles in the league. Just always seems to be doing his job. You never hear his name. Like, I mean, anytime you don't hear a lineman's name, it's a good thing. Like, that's the one position. You don't hear their name, that means they're amazing, right? Unless your name is Trent Williams and you're making the NFL's top 100.
The most highlight pancakes of all time.
So I'm very comfortable with the Colton Miller pick there, personally. So, all right, spin the wheel.
Real
Cooper.
quick, Colton Miller doesn't have any Pro Bowls, kind of speaking to your underrated thing.
Yeah, and he's 26.
He is 28 and turns 29 in October.
Okay, yeah.
But not. All right, so 2 positions left. I have wide receiver, tight end. So skill positions, trying to get Josh Allen and Josh Jacobs some help. Cooper?
I have linebacker and QB.
And then I have wide receiver and off-ball linebacker.
I'm glad that one of us doesn't have a QB yet, kind of making it interesting. I appreciate you taking a gamble, Coop.
Yeah. So we did decide not to repeat teams, correct? Okay, because I just landed on the Packers, so let's spin it again.
Yeah.
It looks like... Ooh, that's an interesting one. Cincinnati Bengals.
All right, we know where Coop's going.
Pretty easy pick for you,
I have to go here.
Yeah. Nothing, just I mean, that's.
Yeah.
I don't think
I mean,
you really
we all
need
know
to
who you're
defend it
talking
now.
about.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't have to explain it. Joe Burrow. One of the top 5 QBs in the league when he's healthy.
Yeah. I'm glad I'm picking before Hayden here because it's a very easy pick to go Jamar Chase and not really say anything else afterwards. I'm very glad that I picked before Hayden because if I would have been picking third there, that means I would have been picking an off-ball linebacker from the Bengals.
Put some respect on Logan Wilson. He's good.
He's good. He is good. I agree with that.
And then Jermaine Pratt, not so much. But Logan Wilson's above average.
can-
I'm interested to see here because I think you
The white boy out of Wyoming.
I'm not thinking you go tight end here. I'm thinking you still go with the. I'll let you talk.
Yeah, and I appreciate the setup. I'm not going to go Mike Gesicki, Drew Sample here. Honestly, if I were to go tight end, it might be Eric All, the rookie out of Iowa. But yeah, and it's very ironic. I feel like I'm getting punished because just like Brandon Aiyuk, who I think is incredibly overrated, T. Higgins is another guy who I think is incredibly overrated. But guess what? T. Higgins with Josh Allen. Even I can't deny that that's just going to create magic,
That
especially.
could actually happen next offseason, by the way. If the wide
Potentially,
receiver
yeah.
Buffalo don't pan out and T. Higgins is a free agent, that could be a thing.
I don't love it, and I am kind of salty just because I'm not a Higgins fan, but I can't complain about that. That's a pretty good landing spot.
Heck yeah.
And I would probably venture to say you would have done the same thing if the rules were reversed.
100%. Yeah.
Which, once again, no disrespect to
Yeah.
Logan Wilson, he's one of the best coverage linebackers.
Yeah.
But
Which I'm definitely higher on. I think I'm higher on T. Higgins than you are.
oh,
But
for
at the
sure,
same
I think
time, it's
everyone
like-
on the podcast is. Yeah.
And I don't know that he's. I think he has a body type of a true wide receiver one. I don't know that we've seen him in a true wide receiver one role, so I don't know if he could. But in my mind, he can.
No,
So, like,
he's
that's-
very good, and with Josh Allen's throwing the football, good offensive line. Josh Jacobs doing his.
Yeah.
He would be a good wide
Oh,
receiver
for sure.
one.
Yeah.
All right, so what's our last position of need? I'm at a tight end, so I have probably one of the hardest ones. I need to get. Did you already spin it?
I did spin it.
Okay, so Josie knows my fate. Cooper, what position do you have? You finally picked a
Linebacker.
quarterback, off-ball
We
linebacker.
both have off-ball linebacker,
All
which
right.
makes this very interesting
Yeah.
because.
Josie, what
Yeah.
team do we have to wrap it up?
So this is really interesting for you because you have multiple options that could be just as good as the
Yes.
others, in my opinion.
See, I was
That are
worried I
good.
would get like the Bengals again.
No,
and, like,
no, you've got some guys that had pretty good seasons last year.
Okay.
Multiple guys.
Who's picking
Uh,
first? You or Coop?
It's me, and then it goes to you, and then Coop is
Okay.
last. So, Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, I know it. I got really.
Yeah, I knew.
Yeah.
I feel like I know where you're going to, but there's a rookie there last year who's got some high upside, so I didn't know if that's where you're going. But I'm gonna go a little off the wall, and you guys can tell me if I'm cheating here with this. Michael Parsons plays off-ball linebacker. Can I go Michael Parsons here? He plays all around the field. He lines up at off-ball linebacker. Can I go? Is that cheating?
Cooper, here's my thoughts. What do you think? Look at my computer.
I know it's.
Is
I-
it cheating?
I think he's an edge rusher.
He
at
is
this
an
point.
edge rusher.
I think
I
he's
have-
an edge rusher. at
He is
this point.
listed on ESPN as a right defensive end.
He's
Because
an
of an
outside
edge rusher.
linebacker.
He's a rush end.
Yeah.
I
will go-
I don't deny I feel like I can make that call since I'm the one who doesn't need a linebacker because Cooper honestly should probably want you to go there too because then he gets his choice of off-ball linebacker.
Yeah.
Me, the unbiased party, I'm gonna say no. He's a defensive
Yeah.
or an edge rusher because
Yeah.
you're right. He plays all over. He plays nose guard.
Yeah.
But
So who is honestly, I'm blanking on off-ball linebackers for the Cowboys. Who's number 14? The safety off-ball linebacker Bell. Is that his last name? Who's really good in coverage?
I'm looking. I know they have
Marquise
them.
Bell.
Marquis, maybe.
Yeah,
that
that's
might be
it. They
Is
have
he number
Damone.
14?
They have Damone Clark out of LSU, and then they have a second-year
number
player out of Texas A&M. I'm pulling up his name right now. He missed all of his rookie season, but he's another guy like 4.4 speed.
Yeah.
Pulling it up. They got some unproven guys though. I think. Oh, so Eric Kendricks,
That's interesting.
which the veteran in the group. You got Damone Clark, and then you got the second-year guy out of Texas A&M that I was mentioning, the Marvian Overshown, which I think probably has the most potential out of everyone on the group. Eric Kendricks probably the best at this point. Damone Clark also has some talent and speed. But
Yeah.
I think there's two good answers here,
Yeah.
so both of you will be fine.
I'm gonna go with since we're looking at this from a GM perspective, I'm gonna go with the younger guy who's still got something to prove, but seems like he has some upside. As soon as you said his name, I remembered seeing some highlights of him from last season. I'm gonna go with Overshown. I think that if I remember correctly, he's got broad shoulders for a guy who plays as fast as he does, which is nice for a middle linebacker because he can still make some tackles and stuff. Like looking at who I have, like Ed Oliver can eat some runs on the inside. Nick Bosa can come off the edge. Antoine Winfield can play all around. So I think having a good tackling machine in the middle of the field can be what I need. So Mr. Hayden up there.
Yeah, this one's easy. I know you were talking about Luke Schoonmaker, but Jake Ferguson, a Pro Bowler last year. I'm super high on him. Even making the Pro Bowl last year, I don't think people realize how good he is. At Wisconsin, he was really more of a possession guy, reliable, but didn't show huge NFL potential. His rookie year didn't do a ton. This year, breaks out.
Yeah.
Insane after the catch. This is amazing. I'm honestly more happy about him than T. Higgins. He's going to get more catches than T. Higgins in my offense. I love Jake Ferguson.
So you would, if it was flip flopped, you'd rather have T. Higgins and Jake Ferguson than Mike Gesicki and CeeDee Lamb.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I think
Ferguson's got a higher ceiling right now than Gesicki.
Yeah, I think Gesicki. We know. I honestly think we've come and gone from Gesicki's prime. I know there was a year or two there, but if you look back, that's like already 4 or 5 years ago at this point.
And I love seeing a tight end who has a little bit of an edge to him, and Jake Ferguson 100% has that fire.
He's dating a Cavender twin, so I mean, he has some
he?
he has some aura to him.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah, but I remember a couple plays last year where he just like shoved people in their face mask, where he got up in their face and was yelling at them, and like I love to see that in a tight end. So,
Yeah.
That's a good pick.
and then Coop, I think we all know where you're going here.
I'm going Eric Kendricks
Yep.
here. Just a vet in the middle of my defense. I have a lot of veterans on my defense. I got Eric Kendricks and Vita Vea. I would consider Jair Alexander a vet.
Yeah.
And Josh Allen, I'd say he's right on the cusp of it, but yeah.
Just got his second contract, but he's been around for a while. He
Yeah.
didn't get tagged last year, but he played 5 years and then got his contract.
Correct. So
Yeah.
he's entering his 6th year.
Because he got tagged and then got a
And then
contract.
signed. Yeah,
extension.
he didn't have to play on the tag.
So let's call him a vet.
Yeah, I would say that's valid. Okay, sweet.
Let's go through everyone's teams.
Let's do it. You want to go?
Yeah. So I'm looking at my team, and there's only one position where I feel like there's a true weakness, and it's the D tackle. But quarterback at Josh Allen, there's only one guy I could have gotten better. Josh Jacobs at running back, if he can stay healthy, good. T. Higgins, Jake Ferguson, Tristan Wirfs, love the offense. The defense, the linebackers are really where I hit gold. Christian Barrymore, the D tackle I was mentioning. Max Crosby, a top 5 edge rusher, arguably top 3 edge rusher. Fred Warner, top 2 linebacker. And then Tyson Campbell, an underrated cornerback for Jacksonville.
Yep.
So I am really offensive heavy here. I have Joe Burrow at QB. I have Christian McCaffrey running the ball, which I don't think I could have gotten a better running back there. Devontae Adams catching it. I have Dalton Kincaid here. My only weak spot on offense, I would say, is my offensive line spot, which I have Chooks there, Okorafor. And on my defense, I have a lot of veterans. I have Jair Alexander, Josh Allen, Eric Kendricks, and Vita Vea here.
Solid. So going through my offense real quick, I have Jordan Love at QB, which only played about 10 really good games, but I think that a lot.
But they were really good.
They were really, really good. And if history tells you anything, the transition between him and Rodgers is he's going to be just fine. That's what they do, right? And even if that is the case, you have a safety net in Travis Etienne, whether it's a dump off screen, whether it's running off a draw, whatever it is. Travis Etienne he gets open. And as soon as he gets open, he takes off. Like that's just what he does. Jamar Chase. I don't really need to say anything about that one. I'm gonna move on. Hunter Henry. We've seen Hunter Henry have really good highs in a pass-heavy offense, and we've seen Hunter Henry have pretty low lows.
He
in a
is what he
run-heavy
is.
offense.
He's an above-average tight end. Nothing
Yeah.
flashy, but he's going to get the job
Yeah.
done.
Good hands. I mean, if he can even return to a portion of what he was in with the Chargers, he's going to be fine, especially with a Jordan Love type quarterback there. O-line Colton Miller, really comfortable with that one. Maybe there were some better tackles out there, but where I selected him at, I feel very comfortable about it. Going to the defensive side of the ball, highest paid safety in the history of the league, Antoine Winfield Jr., deservedly probably the highest paid safety.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, based on what he's done this past couple of years. He has a Super Bowl under his belt, and he's only in his 4th season, whatever it is. Edge, Nick Bosa. And all this conversation about those guys and their Madden ratings and stuff, like Nick Bosa has been disrespected. Not as much as TJ Watt, but a similar amount. I think that Nick Bosa's kind of been shoved under the rug a little bit with this conversation about Micah, Garrett, and TJ. It's like Nick Bosa's a dog. Like he's him and Max Crosby are kind of just like standing there like, hey guys, remember us? Like we're that good. Linebacker, bit of an unproven there. I'm not sure about that one, but I think that there's a lot of upside there. And he's surrounded by other guys who have good talent. And then Ed Oliver on the inside just eats up runs. Can get a sack here and there. So
I think there's a clear winner.
I think it's you.
Really?
Who do you think it is?
I think it's Cooper by a landslide.
Because of the offense.
Yeah, I mean, Cooper got one of the best at pretty much everything on the offense. I'm going to be honest, Coop. The Chooks Okorafor, that was a bad pick.
It was bad.
That was a rough one.
It was an 8-soldier pick.
It was.
Yeah.
But with that, so as long as Joe Burrow doesn't get killed, which we have seen before.
You pulled the Bengals for Joe Burrow. You got him an awful offensive line.
But here's the thing. I'm still going Coop. Eric Kendricks, older, definitely past his prime. I think everywhere else is good enough. I don't even necessarily think that me and Josie had a bad pick. I think we did the best we can, but I think Coop wins in a landslide here.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, that's valid.
Huh.
Yeah, I think you got, the reason I say you is because you got some playmakers on defense.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking at. Like,
Yeah, your defense.
My team's more like
very
steady,
strong.
I would say. Cooper's is more hot and cold. My weakness is Christian Barrymore, and that's an above average D tackle.
my
So
team's filled with potential.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that was fun. We'll have to do that again at some point.
Yes,
Maybe
for
with
sure.
I think it makes it interesting to add a fourth person into,
Yeah.
or even potentially a fifth person at some
yeah,
point.
6, we'll get Christian
6,
calling.
there you go. Yeah, I'd have him call in on Zoom. So
Hunter and Tim
From
will
the
come. We'll
airplane.
do 8. Like,
yeah, oh gosh. All right, yeah, that's fun. So
Let us-
transition over.
yeah, let us know in the comments who won. Josie, you remember our goal?
We wanted to end
20.
that by 20 minutes. We're almost at. We were at.
32.
We're at 36.
We're at 30. Yeah.
All right. So,
All right, let's go to numbers. We're good. It was a good segment.
Yeah, for sure.
Number 90, starting off strong. Do you mind if I take it away?
Go right ahead.
All right, so the recency bias answer is clear. It's TJ Watt, Defensive Player of the Year, the best sack artist in the league. You might not think he's the best edge rusher, you might not think he's the best outside linebacker, but he's the best sack artist. That's something where the stats, it's not subjective, it's objective. He is the best at sacking the quarterback.
Yeah.
Julius Peppers just got inducted into the Hall of Fame, legendary with both Carolina and Green Bay. Then we don't stop there. We got Jadeveon Clowney, not necessarily the most productive, but if we're talking iconic, he was iconic. He did wear another couple numbers. Moving on, we got Michael Brockers, an above-average D tackle. He's not going to win this. Darnell Dockett, one of the only, I think, 4 players. I think it's up to 4 players now to have 3 sacks in a Super Bowl. He got that on Big Ben.
Yeah.
Him and Calais Campbell used to wreak havoc in the desert. DeMarcus Lawrence, an edge rusher who has kind of fallen wayside just because the sack numbers aren't there. But in terms of just true all-around football player, hard to get much better. Jason Pierre-Paul, the face mask, the hand, the sack production, almost 100 sacks.
He was on the second Super Bowl team, wasn't he?
He was.
He,
Yes.
he shot his hand, didn't he?
Fireworks.
Fireworks,
yeah.
He blew,
okay.
he blew 3 of his fingers off.
Yeah.
2.5.
Another good player, doesn't really hold his own, but definitely iconic, BJ Raji.
They gotta get that little shuffle in there.
Yeah. We got Jay Ratcliffe, Ndamukong Kung Su, who is most known probably for 90. It's what he wore for the Lions, where he started his career. And then Super Mario Williams. People forget about Mario Williams. He was a dog in both Houston and Buffalo.
You go to Miami too at some
He
point.
finished up in Miami. Yeah, him and Cameron Wake, like the old edge rushing duo.
Mhm.
But all right, so I'm going to start eliminating. You guys can say no if I mess it up. Michael Brockers, good player, not going to happen.
Yeah.
Next up, Jay Ratcliffe, Cooper. I know him. I like him. But if Cooper doesn't know him, then it's going to be hard for you to win in the 90s. It's not like we're going in the 40s.
Yeah.
Josie, my laptop's going slow. Can you delete for me?
Yeah.
BJ Raji, iconic, deserved a mention, but no.
I think it's going to be between 3 players: TJ Watt, JPP, and Clowney. Those would be mine. Just because Clowney is there.
No, sorry, buddy.
No?
It's Julius Peppers is in
Yeah.
the conversation.
Okay.
I would throw Clowney out.
The
and put
old,
JPP,
the
or
men
Julius
in the
Peppers.
podcast need to speak. Yeah. it-
Okay.
It-
Old heads.
yeah.
Julius have you seen that trend where it's like you have no idea how good Tim Duncan was? You have no idea how good Julius Peppers was. He was so good. He has 100 plus sacks in his career, which is what's the number of how many people have over 100 sacks in their career?
There's a handful now, but I'm
Yeah.
looking right now. Julius Peppers is 4th all time, and he is the most recent by a mile with 159 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
For
at least
that's
two different
twice as
teams.
much as James Harrison.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was an athletic freak who did it at a high level for at least 2 different teams between Carolina and Chicago.
Okay.
And Green Bay,
And,
honestly.
yeah.
I veto my vote.
And on top of that, also, he could have gotten closer. The 200 sacks would have been hard to beat Bruce Smith, but Kevin Green was only half a sack more than him. Reggie White at 198, but he could have been at 3rd pretty easy. I think his last 2 seasons, he had 15 sacks combined from those 2 years.
Yeah,
He could have
right.
played another year or two, just an athletic freak, kind of the way we view Myles Garrett today.
Yeah. And he's probably I think he's the only one on this list in the Hall of Fame. Or at least left who's on the screen right now.
Yeah, for now. We got
Yeah.
some more recent guys. Ndamukong Suh probably has the next best chance.
Yeah.
Sue also wore 93. I love Super Mario. I think everyone deserved a mention,
Mhm.
but it's Peppers versus Watt.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think JPP is probably in the top of the next category, but I think it's TJ versus Peppers personally. And did Peppers wear 90 his whole career?
He wore 90 with both the Bears and the Panthers. He wore 56 with the Packers.
That's
So a majority of his success. Maybe
Yeah.
one double-digit sack season he
Yeah.
didn't have.
Yeah, I think he still counts as 90. I mean, we didn't mention him at 56, so he counts as
Yeah.
90 for sure.
I have my vote.
We know.
Okay. I know who
Listen,
you two
All right, hold on.
This is-
I'm gonna go first. Cooper, you're TJ, right? Can I speak
can
for
I-
you?
You'll have
Can I
to
go first?
figure out
Yeah,
one.
go.
Tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Okay. I know I just gave my answer based on saying tiebreaker. As much as I love TJ Watt, I'm going Julius Peppers here. I've said this prior to on episodes previous to this. It's like Hall of Fame in my mind takes a huge bump up when you're in the Hall of Fame and you played into 2000s and you're in the Hall of Fame. Like, just think about that for a second. Like,
Already,
that means
yeah.
that you were a first, second, maybe third ballot Hall of Famer. Realistically, right? Like, with the amount of people that need to get in and the backlog that there is to people who deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, getting in as quickly as Julius Peppers did, his sack numbers, people knowing him for playing for really 3 separate teams, just showed that he dominated on 3 separate teams. He's an athletic freak. He is, as much as I like TJ, I think TJ's, 1B on this list, but I'm going Julius Peppers here.
I have a Brandon Aiyuk update. Nothing serious.
All right, that's the end of the update.
Okay, nothing serious. But the New England Patriots just came out and said they are willing to make Aiyuk one of the highest paid receivers.
Which you're going to have to. You're going to have to give him 29 and a half.
That's a non-story, but New England pulling some good PR, trying to get Drake May and Jacoby Brissett a weapon.
Yeah.
And listen, I probably want him to go to Washington, to be
But
honest.
they're out, apparently.
Yeah, the Steelers were
The
also
Steelers are
out
out
for
too,
24 hours, and now Rappaport saying we're in.
We just
So,
know that the Browns isn't going to happen. Like, I'm not even saying that as a Steelers fan.
No.
How are they going to make room? How are they gonna
you
make
give
cap space?
Cooper the Rays. You got Cedric Tillman, who they were
You're not.
clamoring for. He's a early second round pick. Jerry Jeudy gets overpaid. I was talking to one of my buddies at work. Amari Cooper's better than Brandon Aiyuk. He is.
I disagree.
Right
Right
now.
now?
Right now. Like, don't get me. I'd probably rather have Brandon Aiyuk. He's 26 years old. He's going to be able to play longer. Cooper. But for this season, right now, Amari Cooper's way better.
I'd rather have 18 yards per catch, to be honest with you.
And that's Amari Cooper.
That's
Yeah,
Brandon
look it
Aiyuk.
up right now.
I would rather have
Brandon Aiyuk
Aiyuk.
had the highest per yards per catch rating in the history of the NFL last year.
So, Brandon Ayuk plays with Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle,
Okay,
and
that's not the
Debo
argument
Samuel.
we're
Hold
making.
on. Let me talk. And Debo Samuel with Kyle Shanahan calling the plays.
Yeah, which is where Mark Cooper would be.
Amari Cooper, 17.4 yards per catch.
Okay.
With Joe Flacco, DTR, PJ Walker, and a washed up Deshaun Watson.
Which is where Brandon Aiyuk would be, though.
Yeah, but
Yeah, they would switch spots in this scenario, right?
Cooper would do just as good, if not better, with Kyle Shanahan. For sure. If he's doing that with that slew of quarterbacks that I just mentioned,
What was their target share? I don't actually know this. What was their target share last year?
For the Browns?
No. What was Amari Cooper's targets versus Brandon Aiyuk's targets?
Oh, I mean, I can
Because I would guess that Amari Cooper got twice the amount of targets that Brandon Aiyuk did last year. I don't know that.
Amari Cooper played in 15 games and had 128 targets. Brandon Aiyuk.
Because Brandon Aiyuk was all pro. I don't think Amari Cooper was.
Brandon Aiyuk also played on the Niners, one of the most popular teams. This may be me just being a Brandon Aiyuk hater, but we are looking.
And I don't want him on Pittsburgh, don't get me wrong, but that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah. Brandon Aiyuk had 114 targets, so he had 10 less targets.
In 2 extra games.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I'm going...
There's a case for both. I don't think, So,
I just feel like Cooper has become very disrespected, and since Ayuk's younger and he's the one who wants to get paid, he's the one on the Niners, he gets elevated, I think, and I think Cooper, quieter, on the Browns, kind of falls.
I think everybody talks about Terry McLaurin as the most underrated receiver in the league. I think Amari Cooper is right up there in the conversation, so I agree with you on that. But.
I think Keenan Allen, another name there. But all right, so
you went TJ?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
And then Josie.
Yeah, I'm gonna give my reason for going TJ.
Go for it.
It is definitely recency bias, but 22 and a half sacks a single season. That doesn't happen.
3-ton league sack leader.
Yeah, sounds right.
And he played with his brother, Derek Watt. His brother, J.J. Watt.
That's a fair argument.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, J.J. Watt has an argument to win 99 as well. So,
for
that
one's
reason,
be heated.
That one's going to be tough. But I'm going to go with TJ here.
I think that the Watt name argument you made there was a solid argument. He's iconic also based on his name, and even though he only has one Defensive Player of the Year, his name is iconic in being associated now with 4 total. So I think that that's a very valid argument.
So, T.J. Watt, I think, and I truly don't think this is coming from bias. Naples would say it is, but one of the most disrespected players in the league.
I agree with that.
Micah Parsons, one of his peers listing out the top edge rushers and not including him is ridiculous.
And doubling down on it when he said, look at the stats.
What stats is he looking at?
That's what I'm saying. Pass rush win rate.
With that said, Julius Peppers is one of the best edge rushers we have ever seen. TJ Watt was drafted in 2017, so he hasn't had a real chance to be a part of any NFL All-Decade teams. And I think if you're a part of an NFL All-Decade team, you're really close already to being a Hall of Famer. Julius Peppers is on 2. He's on 2 All-Decade teams. That's a very exclusive club. He has a Rookie of the Year, one of the best Panthers of all time. He's already in the Panthers Hall of Honor. I would venture to say he honestly has a chance to be in the Bears Hall of Honor for just playing a handful of seasons with them. 159 sacks. Listen, there are a lot of guys with around 100 sacks or more. There's only 3 that have more than him, and he's the only one that's recent, as I mentioned. I'm looking. He's also on the 100 greatest Bears of all time. Give me Julius Peppers. I mean, just an athletic freak, one of the best edge prospects we've ever seen, former UNC basketball player.
Yeah, I was going to say 2nd overall pick in his draft, played basketball at UNC as well. So just an athletic freak in addition to being everything else we said.
Yeah, so take that, Naples, saying we're Steelers bias. Julius Peppers.
That one does hurt a little bit. I'm not going to lie. As a Steelers fan, you love TJ.
It hurts.
It does hurt a little bit.
It's another one where if we revisit a few years from now, if TJ plays well into his 30s. Josie, I'm going to have you fact check me on these numbers just in case I miss somebody. I'm looking at 92, and there's not a ton, so I don't know if I missed someone. I'm going to move forward.
Justin Matabike, is he on there?
I think I included him, but I don't see him. Is he 91?
I thought he's 92.
I think 92 is one of the most clear-cut ones I see on here.
All right, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
All right, 91. 91.
So this one, I'm looking, there's probably 2 guys that should win, but just some honorable mentions. Stephon Tuitt had a few really good seasons with the Steelers. He's not going to win. Jamie Collins, his first of 3 stints with the Patriots was 91. At one point was named the best defensive football player by Chris Collinsworth on Sunday Night Football. You can make all the Collinsworth jokes you want. That's a pretty high praise, and it wasn't necessarily unjustified at the time. Fletcher Cox, one of the front runners for me. I think he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's one of those Howie Roseman gems. Tamba Hawley, hashtag we are one of those Penn Staters. Played really good for the Chiefs for a long time. Trey Hendrickson, a more recent one. Ryan Kerrigan, a personal favorite of mine. I love him for the Washington
Redskins.
I did that just for you. Chris Long, wore 91, but just with the Rams. He's another guy, part of a really NFL royalty type family.
2 Super Bowls, one with the Rams, one with the Eagles.
One with the Patriots, one with the Eagles.
Okay.
Dad's in the Hall of Fame with Howie. His brother was a Pro Bowl guard. Now he has one of the most popular sports podcasts, the Green Light Podcast. Sheldon Richardson, really good start to his career. He was part of that awful 2013 class. Trailed off big time. Yannick Ngakoue, another guy, not one of the best edge rushers, but one of the best sack artists. He's actually still looking for a team. Another Steelers defensive end, Aaron Smith. He was the guy on the other side of Casey Hampton and Brett Kiesel, won a couple of Super Bowls. Will Smith. Not Will Smith, the actor. Will Smith, the defensive end for the Saints. Keep my wife's name
out your mouth.
Yes. Thank you, Cooper. And then we got Justin Tuck, similar to the Jason Pierre-Paul argument, the face mask. Tuck was there for both Super Bowls.
Played with the Raiders after.
Yes, he had a season with the Raiders. And then Eric Armstead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to echo what you said. I know you didn't commit to one guy in this, but for me, pretty clear answer in this. Yes, there's other guys on there. I think it's Fletcher Cox for me personally. Just what he's done and how long he's been in the same position, doing the same thing at an elite level. He got his Super Bowl when he went with the Eagles, the first Super Bowl the Eagles ever won, and he was a part of that team. And he's been a leader on that defense for so long. For me, it's Fletcher Cox.
So I love Fletcher Cox. I think he's the only player on here that is Hall of Fame worthy. I think we have a lot of Hall of Very Goods. He's the only guy who I'd put in the Hall of Fame. How many Eagles, both on the offensive and defensive side, would I name before him, though, during those great 2000s teams? I would venture a lot. And the only reason I'm bringing that up is because I think Justin Tuck should win this. Justin Tuck, not a guy who should be in the Hall of Fame, but a lot of people know who Justin Tuck is, won a couple Super Bowls, and he really trademarked that amazing face mask, which I think is the definition of iconic. That was around the time where I started watching football. Him and JPP with just the full cage, never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
I'm going Justin Tuck.
Did he have any overlap with Strahan?
I think he was there for the first Super Bowl, so yes.
Yeah. So, there's an
Strahan
argument.
retired in 2007, the year they won.
So he was the third best edge rusher on the Giants at all times, right? I like Justin Tuck, but at any given point, he was the third best edge rusher, or not edge rusher.
He was
sorry.
interior.
I'm sorry. Third best lineman is what I was trying to say, because you got Osi Umenyiora, you got Michael Strahan, you got JPP, you got Justin Tuck. So take your pick, but I think that you put at least 2 of those guys over him at any given time.
And you think JPP and who else over him?
In which one? The second one?
Yeah.
Because OC wasn't there anymore, right?
OC was there, but that's when he started to trail off.
Yeah, so maybe he
Tuck
was.
was the best defensive lineman on the second Super Bowl. The first Super Bowl, I agree.
JPP.
Yeah, at that
I
point.
guess JPP was listed as a linebacker, but that means he still counts.
Yeah, he was D-line. I think Justin Tuck was better. Yeah. 1 first-team All-Pro, 1 second-team All-Pro, 2 Pro Bowls, Giants Ring of Honor, and 2-time Super Bowl champ. And then that face mask, I'm just going to look up Google Images.
That's what I was just doing, too. While you look up the images, I will give my vote. So my vote is between Fletcher Cox and Justin Tuck. Justin Tuck, awesome.
Cooper, look at that, the blue visor.
Awesome
oh
face
my
mask.
gosh.
Here we go, real quick. Fletcher Cox, Super Bowl champion, first-team All-Pro, 3-time second-team All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowler, 2010s All-Decade Team, All-Rookie Team, 519 tackles, 70 sacks from a D-tackle.
No, don't get better player, but I don't know that
iconic. I see your argument.
That's just crazy to me. It's funny. The Giants used to be. I guess I shouldn't say they were too good, because both of the Super Bowls they won, they were kind of the Cinderella story. But they used to have some guys.
Yeah, they went 9-7.
9-7.
9-7. That's what I mean. Sorry. Yeah.
But him, Jason Pierre-Paul, Eli Manning, Ahmad Bradshaw, those Giants, they had some aura to them. I kind of dig the Giants from both of those Super Bowl teams.
Let's hear it.
Justin
Tiebreaker.
Tuck. I mean, what a
I
face
was
mask.
shocked. Do you?
What a face mask. But he's not who I'm going with.
Fuck you.
I'm going with Fletcher Cox here.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you can't win most iconic with 2 Pro Bowls in 10 years.
You should see some of the guys that have won the most iconic.
Well, I
Do
wasn't-
we have to go back to the 60s?
All right, well, I wasn't here for the
rough.
60s.
40s.
So Fletcher Cox is my pick for 91. To do it for so long and be a captain on that team for so long and be a leader on that defense for so long, it's hard not to go with Fletcher Cox here.
Be honest with me. Did you know who Justin Tuck was?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I've seen pictures of him.
Knew him
You
from
know-
Madden.
Yeah, probably. I mean, he was young. You know, you edged me hard there.
I sure did.
Because if you would have asked me right before you started talking, I was like, yeah, Cooper's not going to pick Justin Tuck. I was like, no matter how good my argument is, he's going to go Cox. And you had to
Mostly
do that.
always
to me.
do.
What?
92.
Moving on to
Sketch.
92. I think it's a pretty clear answer here, but we can talk about it.
Okay.
Did I miss anybody?
Not to my knowledge. Oh, I mean, if you want to throw Justin Madubuike on there, yes, he wore number 92, but he's more of a recent.
He's probably the third most iconic from his team.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to mention him. James Harrison, that's going to be the front runner. A guy who only had 82 sacks, but has a Defensive Player of the Year.
Only undrafted player to ever win it.
Yes.
Is that what you're going to say? Sorry.
I wasn't, but no.
I was going to mention that.
He has maybe the most iconic play in Super Bowl history or NFL history. He's number 3. I think Hayward passed him on the Steelers sack list. Just one of the most intimidating players we've ever seen.
Yeah.
The
Iconic
weight room
nickname.
Yeah,
Pushing the
Debo.
Debo.
He's been on TV. He's been on HBO shows.
You know what we need? We need him to show Russell Wilson how to push sleds so that Russell Wilson doesn't hurt his calf.
Yeah. Well, he has that he has that medicine ball volleyball game that he plays with all the,
It's like a 10-pound medicine ball.
Yeah.
too, or something.
I mean,
20.
and he's launching it
Yeah.
across.
I think we know who's all. I think
We
know who's
do,
gonna
but we
win
need
here.
to give some honorable mentions to Elvis Dumervil. Hall of Very good. I don't think he ever sniffs the Hall of Fame. He's under 100 sacks. Like Harrison, he does have more, but he doesn't have that Defensive Player of the Year or 2 Super Bowls. Haloti Ngata, a guy who I think should be in the Hall of Fame. And then a recent one, Leonard Williams. We can scratch him off.
Yeah.
Haloti Ngata, I think, should get more credit than what we're going to give him, but this is James Harrison.
Yeah, I think the only name that was potentially left off, looking at this now, he played until 2007, so it definitely counts, but Michael Strahan was number 92.
Yeah, he should be number 2.
Yeah, so you think...
Oh,
you think,
shoot.
Oh wow!
That's what I'm saying.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying.
Wow!
Are we
The
gonna
teeth?
have TJ and Harrison not be on this?
Listen to the... Okay, Super Bowl champion for Michael Strahan, NFL Defensive Player of the Year in 2001, 4-time first-team All-Pro, 2-time second-team All-Pro, 7 Pro Bowls, 2-time NFL sack leader, NFL forced fumbles co-leader, 2000s All-Decade Team, Giants Ring of Honor, number 92 retired. I don't know that it gets
Numbers
more iconic,
numbers
but
don't
number
get
retired.
officially retired. It's Michael Strahan.
It's Michael Strahan. Sorry,
Michael Strahan might be one of the most iconic celebrities. Period. Nevertheless, football players.
And, yeah, and if take football player out of it, he was on Kelly, Michael and Kelly, whatever, the Regis and Kelly
GMA.
show.
He's
yeah.
on GMA.
Yeah, like it's
the morning show of the country. Yeah.
It's Michael Strahan. So
I
That's
never want to
crazy.
hear from Naples that we're a biased podcast again, or at least me, because that if you would have told me both Watt and Harrison wouldn't do it, that's nuts.
see, for this next one, we have to go with Jason Worlds. So then that way we can have
Even
Miss Stewart
that.
podcast again.
Well, kicking it off, Jason Worlds. A lot of people. Do you remember Jason Worlds? So Jason Worlds Cooper, he wore 97 the year before Cam Hayward did, and then he switched his number. Him and Hayward. Hayward went from 95 to 97. Worlds went from 97 to 93, and he was kind of just the Harrison Woodley backup for a few years. Harrison leaves, and Worlds becomes insane. We're talking double-digit sacks, and then he's about to hit free agency, get a ton of money, and he retires to become a Muslim. Just like out of the blue, nowhere. The dude was on his way to being one of the best edge rushers in the NFL. He just leaves. Interesting story. He's not going to win, though.
Yeah.
Calais Campbell, a guy whose longevity seems to be getting him in the Hall of Fame. We're going to save his name. Jason Babin, another one of those good edge rushers from the mid-2000s. He's not winning. Dwight Freeney, another guy who just got in the Hall of Fame. Freeney, one of the best spin moves of all time. Played alongside Robert Mathis. Junior Gillette couldn't stay on the field because he was always doing something illegal. But pretty talented. Ndamukong Suh also wore 93 with a few different teams. The Dolphins for sure. And then I think Tampa Bay and the Rams he also did. I love Suh, but he doesn't get 93. Jabal Sheard, former Pitt Panther, and a guy who never really panned out for Cleveland, but was really good for the Patriots. Gerald McCoy. I love Gerald McCoy. One of the Hall of Very Good players for sure. Legendary Tampa Bay Buccaneer. There we go again, talking about the Bucs.
Yeah, for real.
You know, on one of our recent TikToks, someone said, I just listened to you yap for 10 minutes. And I was like, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I am a D1 yapper. Kevin Williams, very underrated, not iconic though. Another Hall of Very Good at D tackle for the Vikings. And Cooper, what are you?
I have a Brandon Aiyuk, another update. Nothing serious again, but it is an update.
All right.
So the 49ers, this is what the 49ers want for Aiyuk, and this is what the Steelers are willing to give for Aiyuk.
This is actually interesting. I don't know why you led with that. Go ahead.
Okay, so the 49ers want a first-round pick, which is obvious. They want Pat Freiermuth.
In addition to a first-round pick?
I believe so. Or George Pickens, which we're not giving up George Pickens. I think Freiermuth, we have the option to give up Freiermuth here.
That's honestly not out of the blue, which pains me. But yeah, Darnell Washington's there. Yeah, it's not out of the question.
No.
I think Connor Hayward, they love it. I don't like it, but you're right. Pickens is not leaving.
This is what the Steelers have offered the Niners, which they have been turning down.
A second rounder and something else.
We have offered them a second rounder, Dan Moore, James Daniels, Calvin Austin.
It's very interesting.
I think James Daniels in a second should get it done, but they're not going to go for that.
No, we can't give up O-line.
Why?
I'll do.
Why?
We got rookies galore. I'm fine with it.
Because we got a. So, no. Are they as good as James Daniels? No. James Daniels is going to need a contract.
Mason McCormick's going to be good.
Mason McCormick, who's playing well, and then Nate Herbig has been playing okay.
Well, you still have Isaac Siamalu.
Yeah, on one side.
Yeah,
But
so
then the other
Isaac
side, 'cause
Siamalu,
James
and then
Daniel will be out.
It'll be McCormick. I don't want
Yeah.
Herbig playing meaningful reps.
No.
I
'Cause
love
as
the
of right
personality,
now,
but
yeah, because Herbig I think was taking snaps at center, but they've basically put.
we're talking about one Herbig.
rookie,
We should be
yeah.
talking about the better one, the younger brother. I think Highsmith is going to be a target.
I don't give him up.
You got Leonard Floyd there, who had double-digit sacks last year for Buffalo. He's good, but you want another elite edge rusher across from Nick Bosa. We saw them try and get it with Chase Young. It didn't work out. I think Alex Highsmith is in realistic play here. Steelers already re-signed Marcus Golden. They would probably need to sign someone else as a fourth edge rusher, but they like Golden and they like Herbig. I think that's a possibility.
I don't like giving up Highsmith for it, but I also am not really on the Brandon Aiyuk train right now. I don't know that I ever have been fully. I know
I'm
he
so
makes it
against
better.
it.
I'm so for it.
We know. All right, Calais Campbell versus Dwight Freeney. I'm going Freeney.
John Randall played into 2003. We don't count him.
No.
Okay, great. Then say it again, Dwight Freeney and Calais Campbell. I'm going Dwight Freeney as well.
Okay. And Coop, it doesn't matter, but
Okay. I was going to go Calais Campbell.
actually,
I was, yeah.
Yeah.
recency bias.
Probably.
The dude coined the spin move for an edge rusher. But that's how former Syracuse Orange also. All right, number 94. There's some,
Really?
So Cooper's laughing about a name, but listen, it deserves to be here. John Abraham, a really good edge rusher, one of the guys who have over 100 sacks, but probably never going to get the Hall of Fame recognition he deserves. Lawrence Timmons, Hall of Very Good and underrated off-ball linebacker for the Steelers. Randy Gregory could never stay on the field. One of the better draft prospects we've seen in the last decade. Kind of up and down. Once the NFL changed the rules, we finally saw him start to go, but he's back to being AWOL. He's signed by the Bucs, but hasn't shown up to anything. Damon Snacks Harrison. Yes. Did he wear 94? I forget if that was for... I think he wore 98 with the Giants, so 94 must have been with the Jets. Josie's going to fact check. Corey Leggett, pretty good D lineman for the Chargers. Nothing special, though. The name that Cooper was laughing at, Carl Nassib. Listen, first openly gay player. That's iconic.
I think he might win this.
Update on snacks.
There's somebody. But...
Update on yeah, and you guys already know my answer for this one. If you've ever paid attention to what I talk about.
Yeah.
All right, so update on snacks. He started out as number 71, and then switched to 94 for 3 years, and then he was 98 the rest of his career. Other than he was on Seattle. He bounced to 3 different teams in 2020, and he wore 59 with Seattle, but he wore 98 for the most years of his career, 6 it looks like. So
I see him mostly in 98 here.
Yeah,
that's where he. Yeah, so
all right. I love Damon Snacks, but it's irrelevant. We got Sam Acho, an NFL media darling. I'm personally not a fan, but whatever. We got Justin Smith, one of the underrated Niners. Definitely Hall of Very Good, and honestly probably has a better case for the Hall of Fame, if we're being honest. Robert Quinn, before he was wanted for police, he was one of the scariest sack artists in the league for numerous teams, starting with the Rams. And then the guy who's going to win this, Josie's a fan favorite. I think Josie actually is talking about getting a jersey.
yeah, for sure.
It's DeMarcus Ware. He in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And if we're talking iconic, past the field, he has one of the worst national anthems we ever heard, which was just hilarious. It's supposed to be a weekend celebrating you. He goes out there and tries his best, and it just kind of overshadowed the evening in my eyes. But DeMarcus Ware's my pick as well. Cooper,
I forgot about the national anthem. He's got to win this, and Hall of Fame. Yeah, he's got to win this.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Super Bowl with the Broncos.
Yeah, he's one of. I mean, as much as I don't like the Cowboys, he's one of my favorite. He's one of my favorite non-Steelers players ever. I love me some DeMarcus Ware. Just, I mean, constantly.
Oh, I'm really happy you put that guy in for 95.
The first guy?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll find out who you're talking about. All right, so 95. We're all Steelers fans here. Cooper, you were younger. You guys remember Jarvis Jones? Frick Jarvis Jones, dude. I was so high.
2013?
Yeah, he was part of that atrocious 2013 class. Mm-hmm. He was mocked to go 17 to the Steelers for so long. And I remember this
track. Where he played in college? A notoriously good defensive team.
It's the dynasty right now.
Yeah. Who's the best defensive team in
Who's the best team in college football?
Yeah. Alabama?
No.
Georgia.
Georgia. That was a decent guess, but it was Georgia.
But he was. This was the first draft I was paying attention to. Mocked so much, and they were like, "Oh, all he does is get to the quarterback." I'm like, him, James Harrison's gone. This is going to be perfect. He sucked. Atrocious.
He was horrid.
Awful. I remember Joey Porter, when he was the outside linebackers coach, tried to defend him and say sacks weren't anything. Well, guess what? He did nothing. There were no physical attributes about him. His job was to get to the quarterback. He couldn't do that. He ends up signing with Arizona. Doesn't even make the roster. I think there's an injury. Wait, Jarvis Jones isn't going to win this, but I had PTSD. So next up, Naples isn't here. Naples would have voted Myles Garrett, one of the best defensive players, one of the best football players in the league. I prefer TJ, but who are we kidding? Myles Garrett's amazing. Derek Brown, really good defensive tackle. He's not iconic. He's not going to win this. The next few guys are actually kind of interesting. Chris Jones, best D tackle now that Aaron Donald's gone. Part of that Chiefs dynasty, 3 Super Bowls, and his pecker fell out during the combine.
Pretty iconic combine, if we're being honest.
I actually had forgotten about that, and then Josie looked at me, and I was like, oh, yeah. And then Chandler Jones, not related, but one of the best sack artists before he lost his mind, and he probably has a better case since he lost his mind. The CTE going crazy for him right now.
And his brother's pretty iconic, too, John Bones Jones.
Yeah, and then his other brother played in the NFL also, Arthur Jones. So a really famous athletic
We talked about the Watt name being iconic, so we got to at least mention the Jones name there. But
another NFL family, we got Michael Kendricks, who was a very good linebacker for the Eagles, and then he got busted for insider trading, and he became popular outside of the football world. He actually stuck around a little bit with the Seahawks and the Browns. I think he did limited jail time. It actually ended up being okay, but it was some scary stuff for him for a little bit. I remember that story. Sean Phillips, another good edge rusher.
Can I take the next one?
I was assuming that's who you're talking about. Go for it.
Isaac Rochelle. If you're on TikTok at all, you will know him. Mm-hmm. And actually, it's Isaac Cooch. I'm pretty sure.
That's a joke from his wife.
No,
I don't think that's real.
I think it is. Because
I think his wife does it to make fun of him.
No, his wife's last name is Cooch.
Okay.
So he took his wife's last name?
I think that's her abbreviated last name, though. I think that it's a joke.
Let me see.
Do you know who we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
Unfortunately.
his wife, they seem like a cute couple, and it is funny. But I had a feeling that's who you're talking about. And then the other guy, kind of similar to Derek Brown, really good, but not going to win this.
Oh,
Quinn Williams.
okay. You are right here.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not actually.
Allison
Kutch something.
Kucharchak.
Okay.
Kucharchak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but you know what? That is a good argument for it because girls know about him. He's some like irrelevant practice squad D tackle, which no shit, that sounded really mean, but it's true. It's true. I think he had like one season. It might have still been with the Chargers where he actually did have like 4 sacks. But other than that, he's a practice squad player. Cleveland, the Raiders, I forget where else, Colts. But all right, Myles Garrett, Chris Jones, right?
Yeah. Real quick, apparently Christian McCaffrey today during an interview said his former teammate Brandon Aiyuk.
Did he really?
Yeah, I called it a Freudian slip, but that's an interesting. Sorry, go ahead. I know we're
Yeah.
talking about Aiyuk up there.
No,
still,
it's interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So it's between Myles Garrett, Chris Jones.
I mean, yeah, like there are some other guys who have an argument. Isaac Rochelle does have an argument. Chandler Jones has an argument. But those are the guys who I'm going.
I think Isaac Rochelle isn't known enough.
Okay. Just with the 2 other guys on there.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Chris Jones. It's not a Myles Garrett slander. I think Chris Jones is undoubtedly right now the best at his position. Myles Garrett maybe, but it's not undoubted. You got Parsons, you got Watt, you got Bosa, you got Crosby.
Yeah.
His pecker flew out on NFL Network.
The amount of
Pick a different word, dude. Pick a different word, my man.
I'm going
That's
Chris
not
Jones
it.
strictly off of his pecker.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of times I've watched that video. I'm going Chris Jones.
Listen, this is all I'm going to say.
Naples is going to be pissed.
I mean, he already won, so it doesn't matter what I
No,
say.
I
'cause
know,
You guys
but-
both on Chris Jones. I don't know if I can make it a sweep. I was going to initially go Chris Jones, and then I heard you guys both say Chris Jones, so I feel like I need to make a case for Garrett here. The reason I was going to initially go Chris Jones is he's done more in his career. Like, he doesn't have a defensive player of the year, but, like, he has 3 Super Bowls. He has the best player in the entire league.
He's on the best team in football. Kind of going back to our Cooper argument, he's in the spotlight, whether that's fair or not to the other players. Look at the playoff success that he's had versus those other top edge rushers.
Yeah.
Watt, Parsons, Garrett, Crosby. Bosa's the only edge rusher that has postseason success.
And honestly, look at it from this perspective as well. I think having Mahomes on the same team as Chris Jones hurts Chris Jones' legacy because he can never be looked at as the person who won the game because it's always going to be Patrick Mahomes. If you put Patrick Mahomes or you put Myles Garrett on the Chiefs, it's the same thing. He's not looked at as the same game winner that he is because he has Patrick Mahomes on the team. It actually works in Myles Garrett's favor that he's on a worse team because he's looked at as the pinnacle of that team.
If you look at the Chiefs dynasty, Chris Jones might be the 5th best player on the Chiefs dynasty.
Currently, like on the
If you just look at the Chiefs dynasty, so Andy Reid definitely ahead of him, Mahomes definitely ahead of him, Kelsey definitely ahead of him. Is Tyreek ahead of him, even with just 1 Super Bowl? I still think when I think of the Chiefs dynasty, I still think of Tyreek, even though he was only there for one of the Super Bowls.
Yeah.
I still think of Tyreek. I think he's the 5th best.
Yeah.
But then
I
I'm
would
still
feel
going
like
Chris Jones.
Because
I
if
would
you
put him and Chris Jones there together, I would say.
Because if you switch Chris Jones and Myles Garrett, I think Chris Jones has the defensive player of the year at this point, right? If you
I
put
don't
him
know,
on the
it's hard.
Browns
I
and
can't
keep Myles
picture
Garrett
him.
off,
But then I feel like, and once again, I'm still going Chris Jones. But if you
Yeah.
put Myles Garrett on the Chiefs, like when Patrick Mahomes putting up crazy points and Myles Garrett being able to just pin his ears back and go after the quarterback,
is Myles Garrett that much better than Chris Jones? Like play wise, I don't know that he's that much better.
I think it's the position though. I think he would be in a better position to
To
have
get off
success.
the edge, to take the
Yeah.
up the edge, because I see what you're saying. I
The,
mean, it doesn't matter. but
the Browns, you're in close, like tough and gritty games. With the Chiefs, you're gonna kill teams. So Garrett's gonna have a lot of opportunities for 3-sack games.
I'll go Myles Garrett just to not make it a sweep, but I think that there's a case for both.
It is interesting because if Naples was here, would you have still gone Garrett? Because then all of a sudden we're looking at a tiebreaker.
That's an interesting question. I don't have an answer.
Yeah.
And then when
Sorry, Naples. Maybe
Yeah.
you should not go to birthday parties. JK, love you, Naples. All right, 96, probably the weakest one in the 90s. And that's, the 90s were a crazy one. I had mentioned that to Josie multiple times over the last couple of weeks. But Danico Autry, a fan of mine. He actually just got suspended, so I should probably cool off on the Danico Autry train a little bit. Akeem Hicks, kind of similar to Gerald McCoy. Hall of Very Good, had a really good run there with the Bears. Marcus Spears, a guy who not known a ton for his playing career, had some moments with the Cowboys and LSU, but now is one of the faces of ESPN's football coverage. Muhammad Wilkerson, kind of funny, the Jets had 4 really good defensive linemen all at one time, and they all got honorable mentions. I don't know if any of them are going to win. Terrence Potroast Knighton, I think it's him, honestly. The other guy, Isaac Rochelle, the guy we just mentioned, he wore 96 at some point in his 20 NFL stops. So I'm going to go Terrence Potroast here.
I'm going to go Isaac Rochelle here.
We're going to have a 3-way tie.
Yeah, because I'm going Carlos Dunlap.
Oh, I love me some Carlos Dunlap.
I'm looking at the name here. I'm like, I take him over. Like, as much as I like the other guys, I'm going Carlos Dunlap there. Just, I know he wore 8 with the Chiefs, but didn't he win a Super Bowl with them too?
Yeah.
Like, again, a Hall of Very Good. Not a guy who's ever going to sniff. I don't think Geno Atkins even sniffs the Hall of Fame, which I don't know if he's on number 97, but if he's not, he should be.
Yeah, he is.
I think Carlos Dunlap has a case there.
Carlos Dunlap, and we've been talking a lot about sacks just because it is the 90s. Carlos Dunlap has 100 sacks, and nobody knows about it.
Yeah,
and he's still just 35. I'm not saying he could still be playing, although his last season in 2022, he did have 4 sacks with the Chiefs, so still pretty good. And then he was really good with the Seahawks as well. But, I mean, he retired at a relatively young age. Him and Geno Atkins were wreaking havoc. Him and those two and Reggie Nelson used to tear Big Ben apart. I was always
Maybe that's
scared.
why I'm biased towards him in this conversation.
No, I love Carlos Dunlap. I'm still going to go Potroast Knighton, I think. I think just one of the more iconic defensive tackles of the 2010s.
You sticking with yours?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we want to do a random?
He's iconic. He's iconic to me.
Yeah.
No, he is iconic. It's hard because some of these guys are iconic for on and off the field reasons. Rochelle is strictly iconic for off the field reasons. His wife is more famous than it's kind of like a Jonathan Owens and Simone Biles thing. I don't think we mentioned Jonathan Owens for 36, but he would have had an argument strictly because of Simone Biles.
All right, so 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Okay. 3.
All right, I'm good.
Carlos Dunlap.
I'll be honest, I just didn't want Isaac Rochelle. Because I don't even remember when he was 96, so definitely deserves
I want
it
to
all.
say he wore 96 for the Raiders, but I could be wrong.
All right. Josie, you going to mark that down for me, please?
Sure.
97, this one's crazy. This one's nuts. And I don't think, none of them are in the Hall of Fame yet. I do want to mention that, but there are a lot of Hall of Fame and a lot of Hall of Very Good on this list. Starting off with one of the at least of now, Steelers, Cam Hayward.
Ironhead Hayward.
Cam Hayward, football royalty. Coop just mentioned Ironhead Hayward. His little brother's also on the team. Definitely Hall of Very Good. Definitely Steelers Hall of Honor. Still has a chance at Hall of Fame. He's very old, though, trying to come back from an injury. Cam Hayward has a really good chance to win this. We just mentioned Geno Atkins. Hall of Very Good for sure. Has a better Hall of Fame case than what I think people give him credit for. Was really instrumental during those Marvin Lewis Bengals teams. Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa wore 97 for the first 2 years of his career before switching over to 99. Not going to win it, but Joey Bosa deserves some recognition as well. Nick Bosa, his younger brother, who has superseded him in probably both fame and play. He's 97. I think it's probably going to be him and Hayward. We got Kenny Clark, really good defensive tackle for the Packers. He's still playing at a high level.
Dude.
Javon Hargrave. He wore 97, I think only 1 year.
For the Steelers, I know he wore it.
He wore 79 because Hayward was
Oh, he
97.
did.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
yeah.
wore 97 with the Eagles, right?
Well, he wore 93 to start with the Eagles, but I think he did have a second number. So Hargrave, and yeah, it was. He wore 97 with the Eagles. He wears 98 right now for the Niners.
Yeah.
So Javon Hargrave, once again, he's had 4 different numbers and probably doesn't hold up, but one of the best interior defensive linemen we have right now. Malik Jackson, pretty good defensive lineman for both the Broncos and the Jaguars. He has that viral clip of Le'Veon Bell juking him out in the divisional round. And then also he has a touchdown in Super Bowl 50. So definitely deserves an honorable mention. Aiden Hutchinson, a guy who, if we do this list later on, he might do it, especially if the Lions continue to trend in the upwards direction. Grady Jarrett, another one of those. There are a lot of just like above average D tackles in this era that aren't going to be Hall of Famers, but they're all kind of right around the same area. Grady Jarrett for the Falcons fits in there. Calvin Pace, a good edge rusher during those Jets teams with the Rex Ryan era. I think like 70 sacks on his career, so nothing to scoff at, but probably not going to keep him in this conversation. And then Sexy Dexy, the nickname. In my eyes, he's the best nose guard in the league right now.
I'm finding a video right now of his dance.
Of Sexy Dexy?
Yeah.
I have two names that I don't think are going to win, but I think should be mentioned. Kenny Clark.
We mentioned Kenny Clark.
Did you mention it? Okay,
Yeah.
I must have missed that one. And the other one was, some people may have forgotten this name a little bit, but really solid when he played with the Vikings. Everson Griffin wore number 97.
Oh, I love me some Everson
Yeah,
Griffin.
I like
Another
Everson
guy
Griffin
that
a
sadly
lot.
kind of lost his brain a little
Where
bit.
did he go after the Vikings?
He went to Dallas
Yeah.
and then back to Minnesota.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the best Vikings of all time, to be honest.
So
I mean,
both the Bosa brothers
what a dance.
are both the Bosa brothers 99 right now?
No, Nick
He's still
has been 97
And he's
his whole
still
career.
97. Yeah.
I think it's Bosa versus Hayward. Cooper's kind of on the Sexy Dexy train over there, so I don't know if he makes an argument for Dexter.
I think it is between my vote's either going Cam Hayward or
Nick.
Sexy Dexy.
Oh, really?
I don't think Nick Bosa's here. I mean, yeah, he's had good seasons, but
He is a Defensive Player of the Year. Nobody else on this list does.
yeah, but I don't.
No, I'm not trying to talk. Yeah, I think that's interesting, but Josie, where are you going? To be honest, I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah, so I mean, but in my mind, it is between Cam and Nick Bosa. I think that the Defensive Player of the Year obviously works in Nick Bosa's favor. I think that Cam Hayward right now is more valid of a Hall of Fame argument than Nick Bosa. And I mean, Hayden probably knew this was coming. Walter Payton Man of the Year award.
Oh my
I
God!
was
Here
gonna
we
say
go,
it
yeah.
too.
I mean, regardless of what you feel about their play and where their career is going to go, the NFL loves character guys to be in the Hall of Fame. And I think that maybe even more than a Defensive Player of the Year award, I think a Walter Payton Man of the Year award can help your case in getting into the Hall of Fame. Obviously, they go based on stats and different things like that, but I think that when we're going most iconic right now, I think that Cam Hayward's the answer. I think that by the end of his career, Nick Bosa could be this answer. I think right now, at this point in history, I think Cam Hayward is this answer.
So I was leaning Nick Bosa just because I think Nick Bosa has already reached a level of play that is greater than Cam Hayward.
I would agree with that.
But he's going to be there. He's already has a Defensive Player of the Year. He has a Defensive Rookie of the Year. I still think both are NFL royalty. Both have NFL family and ties. I'm going to go Hayward. And I was really tempted to go Bosa just so we could have a three-way tie and do it because I don't think there's a wrong answer. I think Dexter's maybe a little bit of a half step below, but I wouldn't be upset if he won. Cam Hayward, though, I mean, he has the podcast going right now with Mina Kimes and ESPN, Walter Payton Man of the Year. As much as it's a joke, it does somewhat matter for this conversation at least. I'll go Hayward. So Cam Hayward, probably the third most likely Steeler to win one, does end up winning one in the 90s, which is kind of funny. But I think it just weaker careers, 90 and 92 were competitive.
If you guys both didn't say Cam Hayward, I would have went with him, but for this, I'm just gonna say Dexter Lawrence just because of his dance.
No, I think it's him and Chris Jones as the best D tackles right now. So, I mean, no problem in terms of play. And then he is iconic, dating back to his Clemson years. So, all right, 2 numbers left. I was just going to compliment us and say we're going fast. We're already at an hour 20. All right, so 98. I'm going to try and not talk too much, but I'm a D1 yapper. So, we got a few Steelers on here. Casey Hampton, Casey Snacks Hampton. A guy who should be in the Hall of Fame in my eyes. It's a crime that he's not. One of the true nose guards of the 21st century. Him and Haloti Ngata, I think, are hand in hand with each other. We got Connor Barwin, who's not going to win this, but very good player for multiple teams, the Texans, the Eagles, and the Rams. Max Crosby, our recency guy, I think he might fall victim to the same thing that Nick Bosa just did. Nick Fairley was really good for a little bit with both the Rams and the Lions. Javon Hargrave, we just mentioned it. He had a season or two with the Eagles wearing 98. Damon Harrison, we mentioned him earlier. Really good Giant and Jet. Terrence Potros Knighton is here as well. Linval Joseph, another one of those great Vikings defensive lines that featured Brian Robinson, Danielle Hunter, Everson Griffin, Sharif Floyd. The list goes on and on. Robert Mathis, who
Love me some Robert.
should be in the Hall of Fame as well. Dwight Freeney, I think, was definitely better than him, but Robert Mathis was really good. A Colt for his whole entire career also. I think that kind of benefits him. Jeffrey Simmons, another recent guy. Tony Siragusa. And Josie, I know Coop's not. Josie, are you?
Not. I know the name, but that's about the extent of what it is.
So I think if he would have played his entire career in the 2000s, he would have had a really good case. He had the nickname the Goose, one of the greatest NFL personalities of all time. He was a part of that Ravens 2000 defense, widely viewed as one of, if not the best defense of all time.
Yeah.
He was the nose guard in there and a great NFL personality. We needed to mention him. He's legit. And then Vince Williams, definitely not going to win this, but deserves a shout. It was a really good off-ball linebacker, one of the best off-ball blitzers, and has a pretty good Twitter.
And Saragusa did pass away, too.
He did, yes, pretty recently, too.
Yeah.
2 years ago.
All right, so...
I do have one name real quick. I don't know that he's going to win it, but I think that he should be at least named Brian Arakpo.
Okay, yeah.
4-time Pro Bowler.
Another Penn Stater.
Yeah, really solid. He was there with Kerrigan, I think, for some of those years.
Preston Smith.
Yeah, with the Washington Redskins.
Potros Knighton was there also.
Yeah.
But-
Solid player. I would say in the conversation of like a...
Like a Kerrigan,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah,
like, Hall of
basically.
Very Good. He's
Yeah.
a Hall of Very Good. He also owns, like, a baking company. I remember when he moved to the Titans, that was, like, a story. But
Yeah. I
do you remember that, like,
It's
vaguely?
Cupcakes or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Him and his, like, wife, I think, or something.
Which, if you look at him,
Oh.
super intimidating looking dude. Dude's got a
Dude's
neck
arm
that's
is
wider
twice
than
the
his-
size of my leg. Yeah.
His neck is wider than his head,
Yeah.
which just is intimidating in and of itself. So
All right. Orakpo definitely deserved an honorable mention. I don't think he wins. I'm also going to get rid of Simmons, Goose, and Will. No?
Not Saragusa, no.
Cooper just learned about this guy. And all right, I like it. I'm proud of you. You're combating recency bias. Robert Mathis, I'm going to keep for now. Rochelle, Coop, can I get rid of him?
Yes, please.
Linval
Talking
Joseph,
about him.
please.
Linval Joseph, Pot Roast Knighton, Damon Harrison, Javon Hargrave, and Nick Fairley are gone, and so is Connor Barwin. So I think Casey Hampton, Max Crosby, Robert Mathis, and Goose.
I'm just going to get my vote out of the way.
Are you really going to go Goose?
I just looked
I
up
love you.
I just looked up a picture of this dude. I can't not
All
vote
right,
for
no,
him.
respect. I've never been more proud of you, actually.
All right.
I'm not voting for him, but no.
I mean,
Josie, this guy was legit,
look
both
at
on
this
and off the
picture
field.
that
I
saw
know,
as soon-
yeah.
Let's see.
I mean, come on.
He was like
That's
one
a
of
beef-
the
that's
best
a
guys.
beefcake right
That's
there, is what that
iconic.
is. That's a
The dude
beefcake.
like did funny. The dude's legit. Gary's gonna be very pleased that we're talking about Goose. I know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, peak football. All right, Josie.
As much as I like Casey Hampton here, I think that he was the most underrated part of that defense, and I don't think there's anything necessarily iconic about him other than his gut, which is great. And I mean, outside of Steelers Nation,
Was he the most underrated?
one of. We'll say one of.
I would venture him or Farrier.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those two.
Yeah.
Both two guys who I think should have Hall of Fame cases that don't.
Oh, for sure. But then the only other guy I think at this point in history that really compares to that in my mind is Robert Mathis. So that's going to be my pick. I mean, opposite Dwight Freeney, with as good as Dwight Freeney was, which did we? Yeah, we gave Dwight Freeney 93. Like, as good as he was on the opposite side of there, it's like you had listen, take this with a grain of salt. You had a TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith combo. No, I don't think either one of them was necessarily to the ceiling that TJ Watt was, but you had two elite pass rushers who could constantly get home.
And going back to the Myles Garrett to the Chiefs thing, pinning your ears back and going after, you're able to put up sack numbers when you have Peyton Manning, you have Edgerrin James, you have Marvin Harrison Sr., you have Reggie Wayne, you have Dallas Clark.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my pick's Robert Mathis. I'm also a big Robert Mathis guy. So
Max Crosby, I really like.
He's not there yet.
No, and I similar to Nick Bosa, where, like, honestly, there's an argument, but not quite yet. Not quite there.
I mean, the tattoos give him something, but
So I'm the tiebreaker. I would not have guessed Goose would have won this, but he is going to win this. He only played 2 years in the 2000s, but guess what? His NFL career... he reported on Fox for, like, a ton of years. His death was one of the most impactful things. He's a part of one of the best defenses of all time.
yeah,
Just truly, if we're talking about an iconic football player, it's Goose.
yeah.
Look at us combating recency bias. Cooper,
Wow.
I'm proud of you.
thank you.
All right, we're on to 99, and this one is the one that caught my eye. This one is a
this is a
doozy.
tough one.
We have arguably 2 of the top 3 defensive players of all time here. I'm going to get those out of the way before we mention some honorable mentions. But J.J. Watt, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. Aaron Donald, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year.
What?
I think the only 2 players to do that. I don't even think LT did. LT has an MVP, which is different. LT and John Randall, I think, are the only 2 NFL defensive MVPs of all
TJ should
time.
be a 3. All right,
No
continue,
arguments.
please.
Yeah,
all right.
no. But J.J. Watt, Aaron Donald, that's who it's going to come down to. Joey Bosa, NFL royalty.
Yeah, last name I just threw on there. I know it's not.
All right, so we do have Joey Bosa. I'll get to him. You're right, Josie. DeForest Buckner with the 49ers, not with the Colts. Alden Smith, who, once again, he just
What could've
could have, that guy was viewed as better than J.J. Watt at the start of his career. And J.J. Watt had some pretty high praise right out of the gate. Alden Smith, one of the biggest NFL what-ifs. Jarrell Casey, I feel like we've been mentioning it all night, but one of those really good, very good tackles, but not going to sniff the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Marcel Darius, a hot start to his career with Mario Williams and Kyle Williams and Jerry Hughes. He trailed off big time. Daniil Hunter, me and Josie are huge fans of him. He's going to wreak havoc with the Texans. Warren Sapp, Hall of Famer. He's going to be one of 4 Hall of Famers on this list.
Yeah, that's so wild.
Controversial for sure.
Yeah.
Kind of the Ndamukong Suh before Ndamukong Suh. Probably also had a higher ceiling. I think he has a Defensive Player of the Year. Suh definitely does not. If we're talking about greatest defenses of all time, he's part of that Bucs defense. Kawan Short, once again, another defensive tackle in the Hall of Very Good. Lamar Houston, solid. Chase Young, another could have been. And then the guy that Josie added last minute that definitely deserves a mention, Jason Taylor. His sister, known in NFL media, Jason Taylor in his own right, one of, if not,
Probably one of the better Dolphins.
second best, right? Am I missing someone? It's Marino and him, right? Unless you want to go back to like the set, like Greasy, like Bob Greasy or Larry Zonka, if you want to really get crazy.
It's a different game when you go back that far, and like that's not an argument against those guys, but like I think that there's a case that he's probably the second best. Yeah. I mean, unless you want to try to throw in Tyreek's name.
Oh, and I did miss one. Not yet, but I mean, if he plays long enough in Miami. Brett Kiesel, the beard.
Oh, you did put him. Okay.
Yeah, Brett Kiesel, the beard. Another guy who, kind of like Goose. I would
the
say,
second one on the list. Oh, you skipped.
I don't
over
think
him.
I mentioned him, though.
I see.
I
Okay,
had
I
mentioned
got
him
you.
on the list.
Yeah.
Kiesel, kind of very similar to Goose, where above average at their position. He was a 7th-round pick out of BYU, but has probably the most iconic beard in sports history. I mean, it's James Harden and him, right?
Yeah, I mean, for a while there, Fitzpatrick's was being.
Yeah.
There was a big clamor about that, but yeah, I mean, it's.
Is it crazy to say that Brett Kiesel, he's definitely in the top 5 of this? Is it crazy to say that maybe he beats out Warren Sapp or Jason Taylor? I think he beats out Jason Taylor. I don't know if he beats out Sapp, but
I mean, I think he and.
and
Sapp
we're
are
not
in the
talking
same
about
conversation.
player. We're
Yeah,
not talking about
yeah.
like those other guys. Even the guys that we mentioned as honorable mentions, they're ahead of Kiesel.
Yeah.
But
I think that I think obviously we talked about it. I think it comes down to Aaron Donald and JJ Watt, but I think in tier 2, there's Warren Sapp and there's Brett Kiesel, and I think that's the end of that list. And then Jason Taylor's in like a 2B category.
All right, let's start rolling.
I mean, it's two guys. It's JJ and Aaron Donald.
Yes.
So that's
two of the three best defensive players of all time, arguably.
Yeah.
2 of 4, 2 of 5. I would say it gets complicated. Ray Lewis deserves a spot, maybe one of the safeties, but those two, insane.
For me,
and both could still be playing.
Yeah, for me, this one, it's close, but it's not as close as I think it is for both of you. Should I say who my vote is
You
here?
can go for it. I actually have I decided on this a week or two.
I decide too. So we all already have our answers.
All right, mine is J.J. Watt.
Okay.
Because, I mean, the famous picture, his nose is bleeding, his mic'd up moments. I mean, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
So did Aaron Donald, but Aaron Donald's most iconic moment is probably this, when he was doing the ring thing versus.
I mean, there's a picture where his feet are up in the air and he's getting triple teamed, and then he's still getting the sack on the play. But that's, I mean, but that's just a picture that tells a story. It's not necessarily a picture that.
Yeah. But I'm going J.J. Watt here by.
Yeah. I saw that. JJ, yeah, you go, because similar careers, and I mean that with the utmost respect to both of them because they're both incredible. I think Aaron Donald's career was obviously a little bit shorter. 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, the best defensive player in the league at separate times when they were playing. Probably the most dominant, physically imposing players. I think Aaron Donald was a bit of an underdog with his size, only being 6'1". Just, I mean, JJ was what pick was he in his draft?
JJ?
Yeah.
2 was Von Miller. He was top 5, though.
Do you remember what pick Aaron Donald was? It was like 11
13
or 12.
or something,
Yeah, 11, 12, 13, something like low.
That 2014 draft was insane.
Yeah, but so a bit of an underdog story, if you want to call it that, for Aaron Donald. But I think the thing that sets it apart for me is, I mean, maybe this is the bias towards towards the sack thing, but the only player in NFL history to have more than one season with 20 plus sacks is J.J. Watt. He had two separate seasons this career, and I think he had 19 and a half.
TJ does
a
too
separate
now, doesn't he?
No, he has 19 and a half last year.
Oh, yeah.
And he has 22 and a half. I think TJ has a case to maybe do that at some point, maybe even this year, I think some Steelers fans would say, including myself. But, I mean, to be able to do it as consistently as he did with, listen, no hate to Jadeveon Clowney on the other side, and you are the focal point of that defense, and to still do it constantly. Couldn't be said about both of them, to be honest with you, but to me it's JJ. What he did on the offensive side of the ball too, 5 offensive touchdowns, something like that, ridiculous. He didn't play that position for his entire career. He was a tight end at CMU, and then maybe even a little bit at Wisconsin before he switched to D tackle.
I think he was defense for all of Wisconsin, but Central Michigan.
Yeah, he was on a team with Antonio Brown, I think, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so just his name, his everything. I just think it's JJ Watt here. So.
Clean sweep, and I know Naples and Eli aren't here, so I actually don't know which way they would have leaned, even for Eli. I have no idea, but JJ, the blood he knows, that picture, iconic, and he's still relevant. Mm-hmm. And not that Aaron Donald isn't, but JJ is still very much in the news. He bought a soccer team in Europe. Mm-hmm. His wife is a really good soccer player. He's on the McAfee show once a week. Mm-hmm. The NFL family. Mm-hmm. TJ obviously has made a name for himself, but he's the one who single-handedly brought the Watts. Does TJ and Derek get on the kick to become a D1 football player and an NFL player if JJ doesn't pan the weight? I don't think so. Yeah. And you mentioned the touchdowns. I maintain that 2014 season Rodgers robbed him of MVP. Oh, yeah. JJ was without question the best, the most impressive, the most iconic, whatever you want to say, any way you want to vote for MVP, he was it.
Biggest robbery of MVP in history of the NFL, in your opinion?
In my eyes, probably just because,
but
but also
in recent memory.
Yeah, I've probably started paying close attention from 2011, 2012. So, sure. But I think so. Aaron Donald, I'm a Pitt fan, and I really maintain. I thought Aaron Donald was for sure going to become a Steeler or a Brown to finish off his career. Technically, still might come back, but JJ also, when he first became a free agent, when the Texans cut him. By the way, best Texan of all time. Also, is that? Yeah. Sorry, Andre Johnson. It's true.
Sorry, DeAndre Hopkins. It's true.
Yeah.
Like,
Sorry, Watson.
But do you remember his free agency tour? It was like a full-on basketball player,
Yeah.
LeBron James type thing. Oh, are the Steelers going to get him? Oh, he doesn't want to steal TJ's spotlight. Are the Bills going to get him? Are the Chiefs going to get
and
him?
he decided Arizona.
Yeah, and then he chooses Arizona in like a workout video with Kyler Murray. Like, he was so sought after. And honestly, he wasn't even... He was coming off of some injury-riddled years. He was gone. He obviously still ends up having a double-digit sack season a couple years later. Steeler fans, me included, still want him. But we're still seeing the jersey edits every day.
Yeah.
J.J. Watt is truly spectacular, and I don't think we appreciate how good he is as one of the all-time greats.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And you talked about it, like, would the Watt brothers have been, like, specifically TJ, would TJ have been as good without JJ, that trailblazer there? I don't know if you guys saw the interview where Kay Adams was interviewing at Steelers training camp just
I
like,
saw that she
a couple
did. I
days
didn't
ago.
see it yet, though.
I mean, TJ literally said in the interview, he still sends tape of himself to JJ, like, every single day, or weekly at least, and JJ critiques him and tells him what he can do better and different things like that. Like, how can you get more iconic than being the mentor of the current best defensive player in the league when you also were the best defensive player in the league at the time? He's on what? Is he the Thursday Night Football on Amazon? Isn't he?
Yeah,
on that
he's also
free-
on Amazon every once in a
Yeah,
while.
he's
I
broadcasting
think.
something.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
that's-
CBS. He's CBS.
CBS.
He's on the CBS crew with Bill Cowher.
Yeah. And then there was an iconic clip of him, like, I forget what game it was, but he's like, if you mess with me, you got problems. And then, like, that
One
huge,
of the best sound bites of
yeah,
all time.
that huge bruise. Do you guys remember that
No.
huge? If you've never seen it, look it up on Google.
Have you seen it?
Just type in, like,
I
JJ Watt leg bruise.
I think
It's
I have seen it.
the most
I don't
intense
remember.
bruise I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, it's absolutely wild. But, yeah, I mean, just further making the case for
It looks like
JJ.
rug burn.
Yeah, yeah.
It's wild.
I remember him saying also when he played, he would, so obviously he was very versatile. He could play any of the 4 positions on the defensive line. He would go through in one-on-one every single of the 5 offensive linemen, find the weakest one, and then after the first couple drives, once he found the weakest one, that's who he would line up against. So he would let the team dictate if he was an edge rusher or an interior defender.
He could do everything.
Yeah. Just insane. The JJ SWAT. I know TJ has now a knack for picking those off, but JJ, like, he had pass deflections up there, like, with a corner. It was just insane.
Yeah.
Love me some JJ. Look
Well,
at
he
that.
also would deflect it to himself and intercept it. Kind of similar
Pick
to
sixes,
like a
yeah.
TJ would do. What TJ does to Joe Burrow. Sorry, I'll
serious.
clarify that.
Well, guys, that was like 2 months of hard work.
Yeah.
We have done 100 digits. It's crazy. We'll be
Did we
posting.
Did we do 0?
We did Roquan.
Yeah. We did Roquan. Okay.
Oh, we didn't, but yeah,
But
we'll do
I
it
think
right
that
now.
was our answer. I think we
Yeah.
might have done it off.
Because we were like, who else would it be really at this moment?
Mm-hmm.
Calvin Ridley has like 1 year over it.
And Burns.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
um,
Sanders.
that's an 85 on your
Yeah,
chest.
nobody
Right?
wore 0 at Texas.
You gonna change? You gonna buy another one if he changes it?
We'll see.
All right. Well, we like I said, we did do all 100 numbers. We'll be posting some TikToks just to recap all 100 of them, so that way you guys don't have to go back and watch 2-month-old videos and episodes. But great work, guys! Another long episode. We might have had our longest episode.
This is definitely our
Is it
longest
almost
episode.
2?
Hour 42.
Oof. Yeah,
If it's
sorry,
not the
guys.
longest, it's close. Yeah, Josie. Oh, we'll get it done in like 10 minutes.
Hey, that part we got it done in less than 30. So we spent over
Our
an
goal
hour, 10
was
minutes
like
on 90.
Our goal was like 10 to 15. But yeah. Should we tell them what we have coming up for them?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, we have our NFL previews. If you guys have been with us from the beginning, that's our first 2 episodes of the podcast. We had some fun with it. We're going to probably change it up a little bit, make some modifications from what we did last year. Cooper obviously will be here. Eli and Christian will not be. Naples will be back. But we have that coming. We have some fantasy draft news coming. Also, the whole entire team, we placed a wager. And it's a ballsy one. We're going to see what happens with that. We have a lot of stuff coming up, so stay tuned. It's going to be fun. Thanks for the support. This has been the Second Short Podcast. We'll see you next time.